Hello, hello, Otafest listeners. I'm Angelo, and I'm here with Nancy and Jay for Season 7, Episode 27 of the Otafest podcast.
That's a lot of podcasts.
Gibbly goops.
That's a lot.
We've been talking for many collective hours.
Imagine listening for so many hours. Our audience are good listeners. They got the ears to prove it. I think that's
do.
They have the lobes.
The lobes.
Calling all artists. Otafest Sketch Drive is back for 2022. Get your applications in. Show off your sketch skills by creating a 15-minute masterpiece. Get paid for your work and support Otafest's charity of choice all at the same time.
Aw, yeah.
Oh, baby.
Holy cow. More guest announcements. Fighting Dreamers Productions will be joining us as cosplay guests. Based out of Vancouver, FDP are well known in the local cosplay video scene. Find out more about them at otafest.com/FDP. Or you can also check out YouTube, Fighting Dreamers Productions, thank you. And on Twitter and Instagram via Twin Fools. That's Twin Fools with a Z. And Nova Vandorwolf. That's Nova VANDORWOLF. We've had them before. They're pretty chill people. They, I believe Twin Fools helped us out with some 2021 stream programming. Hosted a panel.
Yeah, it was a good panel, too.
So we're going to have them in person. We've had them a couple of times, but I believe they're making their way back out from Vancouver. I think it'd be a good reunion between our audience and them. Actually, and you know, AK Weir is coming in from Vancouver as well, so everybody's having a good time out in Calgary.
Let's go. We're shipping all of Vancouver over to Calgary.
Yeah.
You know who you are. You know who we're shipping out.
Oh, yeah.
So, how's it been for you two?
It was a busy weekend. It was a very busy weekend. But it was very nice. Very good. On
Very
Saturday,
delicious.
Nancy and I actually got to hang out along with Dio at another Otafest staff member's house. We drank his rum and ate his bulgogi.
It was good rum, and it was very good bulgogi.
Yeah, it was great.
It was amazing. I definitely could feel some of that Otafest community spirit coming back. It was a small gathering, but it was just really, really nice.
Exactly. It was nice to get out of the house for a little bit. It's nice to hang out with some friends. You know,
I agree.
It's been a few years since that's been a regular occurrence.
Mm-hmm.
And it still didn't feel like it was long enough. Like, I could have gone for another 6 hours of hanging out with Angelo and Dio.
I know. Some of the board games that we did one very quick board game, and it was pretty fun. But some of the board games that you can do, like, I'm actually surprised. I think the game that we played a board game called Hanabi, which is a little tile-based game where you try to make some fireworks.
Card game.
Actually, no, this one was tile-based. It was on Mahjong tiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the deluxe version 2, and it was very deluxe. It was V deluxe, even.
It felt good. I feel like all card games should be converted to Mahjong tile-based games.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Quite frankly, anyone who's playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards with cardboard next year, I think you're living your life wrong. I think you need to. I need to just scan the cards and print them onto Mahjong tiles.
I place my tile down, face down, in defense mode.
Exactly.
I see.
Defense mode. You've activated my trap tile.
And like,
exactly.
I'd be like, black eye. No, wait, not black eyes. It's red eyes, black dragon, and you just like hurl the tile at your friend's face. And if it knocks, and if it hits them like square in the eye, you'd be like, bam,
I sent you to the shadow
1800, realm. That's 1,800 life points, biatch.
Right in the eye. That is
I'm
a
sending
literal
you
black
to the
eye.
shadow realm.
Exactly.
All
Exactly.
right.
This
pretty
got
good.
hardcore to the highest level.
It
That's-
did. It
That's
did. We
that,
just
that's
started.
Yu-Gi-Oh. That's Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Pokemon, it was always sort of like pretty kind of like kid gloves, but like
Yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh, basically they just use cards as a weapon instead of like actual guns, because that's what it felt like all the time. It was like, I'm sending you to the Shadow Realm, and you know they'd be like, oh, you've trapped my father or you've killed my brother, and I was like, I don't know how the cards did that, but I'm sure it's an analogy for something. The
I don't think it
analogy
was
is
any
guns.
analogy for anything. I think it really was just they were trying to make cardboard seem more intense than it really was.
They added motorcycles later. We know that.
Oh yeah, and they also added dual discs, the one like preteen weeb accessory that every child who likes Yu-Gi-Oh wants.
Yeah, if you weren't a weeb wearing a Naruto headband and a dual disc, who were you? What were you? Nothing.
I never had a dual disc and I never had a Naruto headband, and my life was it felt incomplete. It really did. I'm kind of happy about that now. I really am. I feel like I dodged a bullet.
If you
but I
didn't
still-
launch a Beyblade off of your dual disc, you were nothing.
Oh no, we played Beyblades.
Your grandpa's
my
deck
cousin
was
had some
only filled
Beyblades.
with pathetic cards.
My cousin even had some special metal rings for his Beyblades, specifically to make
Oh,
sparks.
God, yes. Yeah, that was the thing.
What?
Yes.
I never actually played Beyblade, but I know
What?
all these things because I watched with jealousy.
It was.
You watched with jealousy.
It was pretty damn good. And quite frankly, while giant monsters and things never came out of the Beyblades, the fact that they had sparks on them was it felt really good. And every now and then, your Beyblade would smash into the other person's so hard, so powerfully, that the other one would actually shatter into each of its individual layers.
Seriously?
Yes.
Damn.
Like, I'm
That is a
pretty
thing,
sure.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure that people have broken fingers in that game.
Yikes. This
But what's a
kind of
little
reminds me of like a
children's
more
game without
hardcore version of
something?
marbles.
If anything,
That's
it's probably just a
insult.
hardcore version of Dreidel.
Yeah, I guess so.
Battle
but like I just
Dreidel.
remember kids like smashing their fingers against the large steel marbles that you were supposed to use. Those
I
were
never
What?
heavy.
played marbles. I played Pog.
I never heard about that.
Oh.
I heard about people like breaking their nails, like bruising their thumbs with pogs.
Heck yeah.
Ooh.
Those metal
Pogs
slammers
before
were
Pog was cool.
Those metal slammers were quite the enjoyable
Yeah.
bit.
Kids
Yikes.
think that that Pog is a Twitch deal, but Pogs were what back in the day.
Exactly.
I also had a very busy weekend. Very busy.
Oh, what did you get up to?
I didn't really go out at all until last weekend for like pretty much any major thing, but I did 3 things. One of them is not listed in the itinerary. I went to go see Batman. That was the first time I'd returned to a theater since
Oh,
beginning of pandemic.
nice.
Batman movie was really good. Super enjoyed it. It's like a perfect description of like when you have the right cast matched with the right script and the right direction.
Oh my god.
It doesn't make it like a perfect
sounds-
movie, but it's very good.
Sounds like an ideal setup right there.
I mean, it's probably DC's best offering in a long time, probably since at least Wonder Woman, in terms of live action superheroes. But this is
Man,
not in
it's
the
been a
same
while.
universe as like Wonder Woman, because that's sort of Justice
It's not the
League.
DCEU.
Well, there's a problem there, and I don't want to get too deep into this because I don't know enough about it, frankly. But here, there's sort of a. I don't know if it's an actual problem, but I can tell you that it's a problem that Marvel doesn't have right now, which is comparatively, from what I understand, the DCEU has Justice League, right? Which is
Yes.
comprised of like Ben Affleck Batman and Gal Gadot Wonder Woman, and I don't remember who plays Superman. That's sort of its
Henry
own
Cavill,
thing.
that's it.
Yes, Henry Cavill. And
The
then
Witcher.
there is
Dang him and his chin.
there is Margot Robbie
Mm-hmm.
and her Suicide Squad,
Mm-hmm.
which they don't really mix, by the way. Like that Justice League doesn't really match with this Harley's Suicide Squad. Like the tone is just wrong, right? Like the characters can exist if they were so inclined, but like it just doesn't make sense for them to mix and match these universes because they're not really compatible in the way that they've presented them and directed them in their respective film franchises. Which is exactly the same problem with Batman. This Batman is a Christian Bale Batman. This is a standalone. I don't need a Superman. I don't need a Justice League. He is his own Batman, which is a great movie because it's a very detective forward Batman. It's got some action to it for sure. It's got a pretty decent little plot line. Again, the casting is amazing, but you don't want to see this Batman go up against Harley Quinn as played by Margot Robbie, because even though they're all like great actors and like good casting, it just does not match.
It doesn't
like,
make sense.
Yes. And I don't want to spoil anything, so I won't. But there's a reason why I'm like mentioning Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, and it's not like too much of a coincidence there. But like you can sort of come up to your own conclusions if you haven't seen the movie. But just understanding that again, like there are 3 different DC universes right now, and none of them can collide, which is maybe for the best for them. I don't know. I really don't. But it doesn't matter.
I mean, like, my personal opinion about it has been that the DCEU is just stop trying. Just really.
Or just enjoy it for what it is, right?
Anytime that they're like on their own,
Mm-hmm.
they can be pretty good. But as soon as you have too many heroes working in the same movies,
Mm-hmm.
it gives you a lot more of a challenge to give each character like the spotlight they deserve. And even if you look at like the Marvel Avengers movies, they still for the most part revolve around 1 or 2 characters, or they try to get the group back together as fast as possible. Like the first half of like the first Avengers movie was them all going their separate ways, having a big argument, and then the rest of the time they were like, yeah, the character is all of them together, if you will.
But part of the issue is that they can sort of all coexist because there's something that I want to bring up that's very specific to Batman. And I'm not even saying this movie, but Batman in general, which is there's a real problem with the power balance that you may love Batman as a character. I certainly do. I grew up with Batman. He's sort of my superhero character as I had growing up, same way that a lot of kids have like Spider-Man nowadays. But like the problem is that he has no superpowers. His superpower is that he's the world's greatest detective. He's a rich boy, and he has gadgets, and he knows how to overcome almost every obstacle in his way. But at the end of the day, he has no other great resource other than, like, you could say his brain, right? And everyone's like, oh, well, there was like, oh, Batman versus Superman. That's always a thing. But like the truth is in the DC universe, Batman is nothing but an underpowered human who looks after a city where he has a neighbor who's, one of his great allies in Superman who takes over, but who looks over the world, looks after the world and sometimes the galaxy or the universe, like depending on how far they want to stretch things. And all of his friends do the same thing. Like Wonder Woman fights gods, it's a very unbalanced fight. So Batman sort of needs his own universe, and he exists in his own universe in Gotham really well. But that's part of the problem of why you can't bring DCEU stuff too much into it, because, you can't really have the superpowered villains start coming in, because in gritty, realistic settings, he loses out every time by virtue of being just a human boy, orphan boy,
Like you're completely right. Batman doesn't really fit in very well there. And we kind of saw that, like
even Iron Man has
we
better
kind of
power.
saw that the same way in the Marvel movies. Like, seriously, who cared about Hawkeye? Did anyone care about Hawkeye? What was Hawkeye there to do?
He's a
Fan
good
the
guy.
fangirl flames.
He's a good. Come on, there are so many characters you can fan girl over. So Hawkeye seems strange as a selection.
But like that's the kind of thing when you've got like Norse gods rolling around, you've got men in exoskeletons that can withstand nuclear missile bombs. You
And
got
are rich.
the literal Hulk.
Mhm.
Who's this guy who can shoot arrows while doing?
Mhm.
What is he doing? And so Batman,
it's sort of the
when
problem,
you're
right?
up against like omnipotent aliens, literal Amazon goddesses, the goddamn Aquaman, Fish Boy.
But
Like
at
all
least,
he has,
that's
all
still
he
a
has is
power,
money
right?
and prep time.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's
Money.
hard to reconcile. But all that being said, Batman is a good movie. Robert Pattinson does a good job. I don't really like him as a person. Weirdly, not as a person. I meant like his like sort of
His characterization of
his
Bruce
media
Wayne.
personality. Like, because I watched some, I tried to find some like interviews on chat shows and stuff with him. He's not very fun to watch for me at all in that respect. But I always thought of him as a half decent actor. I never saw him in Twilight or anything. Doesn't really care. The only other thing I know about him from is like Harry Potter, but he died in that movie. Spoilers.
He was in Harry Potter? I had no idea.
Long time ago. Yeah, he's. I mean, girls
Who's who?
fangirled about him. He was a Hufflepuff, the Hufflepuff that died in the Triwizard Tournament. I know this,
Oh, yes. Right.
but I
him.
don't.
Yes.
Yeah, he doesn't like. He's just presented as like a really good guy, and he's sort of like a martyr in some ways, or like
Fair enough.
yeah, that's his character in that show or in that movie / series or whatever. Anyways, aside from all that, does a good job. Again, great casting, great directing. Would really recommend go seeing it. I think they can make a pretty good trilogy out of it. I hope they don't screw it up. And even if they do screw up, pretty good first movie. So
That's nice.
You won't be
That's
disappointed.
good.
Continuing on this long weekend, it wasn't a long weekend, but it was a busy weekend for me. I went to go see, for a last minute, got an invite to a drag comedy show that was being performed / hosted by Bianca Del Rio, which is, for people who don't know, RuPaul season 6 winner. So a while back, but she's one of the biggest personalities, one of like the most popular ones, and I've never really followed too much. Like, I've watched a lot of RuPaul with friends, but it's not like I personally follow a lot of seasons. But the show was really good, and
Neat.
went out to the casino for that. Won some money.
Oh my god, you
Also
actually
nice.
won some money at the casino?
I usually win
Dang.
money at the casino. Like,
I guess I
but I
can't
w-
say that
I
I, ever
mean,
do.
did you win more money and walk out with more than you walked in with?
so
I
here's
should
the
say.
thing. So the thing was, like I said, fun show. I don't want to talk about it because it gets very racy, kind of comedy-wise, so I can't talk about it. But it was very entertaining.
Dang it.
So it was fun to support that show. But so afterwards, we're at the casino parking lot, and it's packed of people getting out. So we're like, let's just go back in the casino and kill some time, play some games, some table games. And we settled on blackjack. And this is the thing I almost always do when I go to a casino. This is like my habit. I take out $40, which is not a lot of money, especially at a casino. I go find a game that I'm comfortable with. Sometimes that's craps, blackjack, or poker, usually. I play. I'll usually win a couple of hands, enough to make my $40 back. Then I just play with what I have made, and I do one of two things. If I'm feeling like I want to make money, I'll try and play more seriously. If I'm not trying to play, or I'm not really caring to win, I will just play with the money that I've won. And if I lose it all, then I just leave with my initial investment in my pocket. That's what I do. Because it's
So
just for fun.
sometimes if you're
There's
feeling
no-
spicy, you'll tell them to hit you when you got a 20 in your hand.
that has happened.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yes. But yeah, so just had a little fun, killed some time, won some cash. But on the last hand, my friend who was running low on chips decided to just put it all out because we were going to leave soon anyways. So I was just like, oh, I'll just put out all the winnings I've made, which was probably about $60 over the 40 that I made. I had about 100 total.
Damn.
And I lost the 60.
Yeah, that's
it doesn't
pretty good.
really matter. And it was just for fun, But it killed half an hour, and I don't really go gamble very much. So it was a good time.
Nice.
And then we also had a Quidditch tournament.
I've only done casino gambling once, and my budget at the time wasn't very high, and I was really only there to spend to burn some time. So I went in with $20, and at a blackjack table, I went there with Dio, and I think I ran out of my $20 in 15 minutes.
Oof.
Gotta be careful. You gotta know how to sort of play things. I'm not saying like I'm
Just
super
right.
savvy to it, but like I've had enough experience and enough fun there that I kind of know what I'm in there for. When I go in there and spend $40, even if I lost $40, let's say I never make that $40 back, I'm like, this is for entertainment. $40 is what I would spend for like a little bit of dinner and a movie kind of deal. You know what I mean? So it's not really a huge, like I'm not a huge loss. I have made some pretty good gains in the past, but like I can't say that that's always repeatable or like something I can always do. But I usually, like I said, I usually come back. If I withdraw $40, I usually get to keep $40 at the end of it.
Nice.
That's usually my goal anyways. That way I was like, oh, I gambled, but I had fun.
I have never frequented casinos, so I guess I wouldn't know that, but that makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, some people are really into it for like the actual gambling aspect. I just see it as a game more than anything, and I don't feel like investing that much into a game anyways. But like would have been like I could have walked out with the $60 extra. People could be like, well, why didn't you? It's like, because I didn't actually lose anything. You could say I won, I could have won, but it doesn't change a whole lot. It would have been like a nice dinner or two at most, right? But like there are times where I've made significantly more, and then I've actually walked out because I'm like, this is a sort of ridiculous amount of money to just walk away from, So I don't usually just throw it all away like that, but there are times.
Nice. I watched some YouTube videos about like how card counting works, and the channel got a professional gambler on the show, a guy who literally makes his living going to different casinos and just gambling.
Wow.
And the whole idea that people literally can make a living off of just gambling at casinos and actually legitimately make a profit out of it just sounds completely ridiculous, completely bonkers
here's
to
something.
me.
Can I tell you something interesting about card counting?
Sure.
Casinos can kick you out for card gambling, but it is not strictly illegal.
Yeah, it's not cheating.
It's just that they don't want you to be winning because that's not how they make money, which is fair.
Well, yeah. So, okay, given the number of casinos we have here in this city, at what point do you just run out of casinos to go to?
People who do that, who run card counting rackets and things like that, are generally always moving. But the other thing is, in this day and age, that's much harder to be doing because people, like the pit bosses, know you.
Oh, yeah.
They know who they're looking for because they're on the lookout. Because again, casino is a business. They do not want to lose money. They're happy to pay out every now and then, but they're not happy to pay out someone who's just trying to make money off of them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
the general rule is you pay out every now and again, but never more than you actually make, because you need to keep the place running.
Yeah.
My understanding, like on the general numbers, is to pay out something like in the 10 or 15% area.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, the one thing that I learned from the card counting aspect of it is that it's not the card counting itself that's hard. The card counting part is easy. It's card counting in real time that is difficult. And according to it, the profit margins you can expect over a few nights of gambling are in the 3 to 4% range.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to have massive capital to begin with to make it worth anything at all.
Well, there's this whole thing about, so we're talking about blackjack when we're talking card counting, but some games are more skill than others, some are more random and chance, and a lot, all of it just comes down to probability. But when I'm talking about skill, we're talking things like poker, for example, where you're trying to read your opponent's hand so that you can try and gain an advantage. But in a casino setting where you're not playing a tournament against other players, you're mostly just playing against the dealer, who is the house. None of that really matters. You're not going to intimidate the dealer who works for the casino. But, it's funny because statistically speaking, from somewhere I read, the probability, the game that has the best probability of you winning, I'm not saying you're making, the winning amount is based on how much you're betting, of course, but the mean average of you sort of winning on any given game, the best odds are playing craps, which is a dice game. Not surprising in a sense, because it's less controlled in some ways. Like, they can only manipulate the odds so much on pretty much random physical action, especially when that random physical action is also made by the player, not by the house, as in like roulette, for example. But
that's fair.
Yeah, I know a lot of little things about casinos. If you ever want to go, Nance, we can go, but we won't play for, we're not going to go crazy. Just enough to have fun.
Casinos, some casinos in town also have decent dim sum, I'm told.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
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 Well, that's the reason right there.
Yeah.
That's the reason. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go. So, yeah.
Go stuff myself
I
at
put
the
a
dim
chashu
sum
bow
bar
on black.
They're like, please.
And then be way too
Sir,
food
leave.
coma-y to think straight.
Sir, leave. Yeah.
I see your egg bun and raise you some barbecue pork.
Oh my, you do not want me to throw in these chicken legs. I throw in this tripe.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
Speaking
god.
of
That-
Asian food, I haven't watched it yet, but somebody has.
Yes.
Turning Red.
So, not gonna lie, there are multiple food shots in Turning Red that
I
are
know about it.
anime tier quality in the way they show the food. Like Pixar, the
no.
Pixar animators were watching some anime and they're like, look at these anime plebs. They're cutting their cabbage. They're making it look super good. There's this entire anime about how the food is so amazing that it makes people's clothes explode off. We are going to raise the bar a little bit.
But this is a
But
kid show.
Turning Red was actually a really great movie. I only learned about it like a week ago
I've heard really
because
good
someone
things.
said that one of my stream assets reminded them of something in the movie.
Oh,
And so,
that's one hell of a compliment.
well, it's a little pink like poof cloud. And that's why it reminded them of the movie. So the basis of Turning Red is that this Canadian Asian family with a temple to their ancestors and red pandas living in Toronto. Their daughter turns into a red panda. Oh my god.
Spoilers.
Just like the mom in Brave turned into a bear, but this time it's the daughter.
And not a wait, can you tell me if it's a wait, no. Actually, I don't want to know. I don't want to know anything about the story.
But no matter what, like it looked to me like the main thing about the story, it was trying to like emphasize the friendships that you make when you're in school, when you're a kid and everything like that, how important they can be, how much they can affect your life. But the animation was just so good. Like, I mean, it's Pixar. Pixar is really good at animation. I know last week we were talking about like 3D animation reboot versus X-Arm versus like Arcane. And you can't really compare TV shows to movie animation. The budgets just don't even come close to being the same.
I really wanted to.
I mean, I'm not going to stop you. I'm just saying that
Don't do
you
it.
have someone who can afford 20-minute TV shows versus someone who is putting millions. You
Millions
have
and
the
millions.
Wrath of the Mouse hammering down the frames into a 2-hour thing. But
Film, movie, whatever.
exactly. But I'm not gonna lie, like, I make that anime comparison because I really feel like it was anime inspired in certain situations. Like, the character designs are very Pixar character designs. I'm not gonna say that they're anime character designs, they aren't. But a lot of the facial expressions that they make 100% feel anime inspired. Like, whenever they see a cute thing, their eyes go all huge, googly eyed, they get all like the bright
Great
glossy
googly-moogly.
bits in it. They do like the little three mouth at some points in time, like, but
3 mouth.
it was so on point. You know, little three mouth, like the colon
W.
3 mouth. You know,
Sure.
but
yeah, I do.
I
just
really
like that you
enjoyed
call
the
that
movie.
3 mouth.
It was very cute. It was very wholesome. And the last Pixar movie that I watched was Moana, which it was an all right movie. But my problem with Moana was that it didn't really feel like the main character had any agency of her own. Like, she was saying, I want to do the thing. And it just felt like anytime she could have possibly failed at doing the thing, a deus ex machina put her back on track. Like, oh no, I'm falling off the boat. Well, the ocean just puts you back on your boat for you.
Well,
There
there
you
is
go,
literally
sweetie, have
sort
a
of
good time.
gods at work in that movie.
I know, and that's kind of the point. But I feel like it makes for bad storytelling, because why did she even need the boat if the ocean was just gonna put her there anyway? Why didn't she just walk into the water and just appear at the other island? Obviously, because they need some kind of story. But it just felt like there was no tension or anything. Whereas in Turning Red, I felt like the story, it felt like the characters in the story had more agency over the story. It felt like the characters' decisions actually mattered. Like they were the actual ones making the decision, if you get me.
Yeah.
And
That's good.
it just made the story feel more real.
That's fair.
Also, the Canadian representation was on point. They got
When
those $5 bills a flying.
When was the last time you saw like Canadian representation in a film? The
Scott
last
Pilgrim
one I
versus
can...
the World.
Yeah, that was the one I was gonna pick. I was
Logan.
like, the last time I remember someone exploding into loonies and toonies was Scott Pilgrim. So
And
nice
here's
to
the
see.
thing. Like Scott Pilgrim, it felt like, haha, Canada as a setting, but nothing felt Canadian. This one, I mean, it's very vague what feeling Canadian is, but it did, if you get me.
That puts
I
a lot
feel
of
like
warm
they
fuzzies
did it.
in my heart.
I feel like they did it justice. They did it right. They did it very well. I enjoyed the movie.
So I haven't watched it. I don't have a lot to say about it, especially since I know nothing about the story other than she turns into a red panda. But some voice actors that I hang out with mentioned specifically that they really enjoyed the representation of kids who have diabetes in the film, because that is something that they themselves have not seen in that big of a film ever.
Crazy.
There
And
was a
that,
kid
that
with
makes me
diabetes.
feel really happy too.
I don't remember that. Not gonna lie.
There were a couple of kids with diabetes patches on, apparently.
Interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just
So,
it's
see,
just
again,
like very real. I like it.
Yeah, like again, I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak to it, but it makes me happy when people point out that they're feeling represented in a Pixar film. Like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I just mean, like, it was a really good movie. But at the same time, have you guys seen any of the discourse around it online? Like,
No, because I don't want to. I don't want it to have
that one
spoiled,
piece. No.
For one thing, I
So-
don't want. I do want to watch it when it comes out on.
the
Disney
main
Plus?
conflict, I'm just going to say the main conflict is mostly the main character, Mei Lin, and her mom. Just not always being on the same page. You know,
That's
typical
never happened in an Asian
early
family.
teen stuff. Mom being overbearing, the child wanting
What?
freedom. It's not like we haven't had
No, she must play
exceptionally
piano.
good animated movies before, like the Goofy movie on the exact same subject.
Uh-huh.
But that is the main kind of conflict driving the series.
Yeah.
And almost every single criticism of the movie that I've seen so far is written from an obviously parent perspective, being like, what? How dare this movie glorify the child not listening to their parents? How dare Disney and Pixar do this to us? Why would they suggest such a thing? This is the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Huh.
I think it's interesting because I have, I think we all have friends that have kids now, and like I'm starting to listen in on their sort of discourse around having kids and like the experience they have. And like, they have concerns about parenting. I don't want to get, into this because I don't know. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get out of it. But a lot of it is like not myself not having kids, but I like kids enough. It's interesting to hear because some part of parenting takes away your understanding of what it is to be a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I hear that, like, I hear their concerns on, like, there's safety issues and, they're always concerned for them. And I'm like, I get all these things because we were all like that. Like, we were friends 15 years ago and these were the things that, like, we didn't care about at the time because we, were headstrong and thought we knew better. But in some ways we do. Like, we are still our own persons, and sometimes it's like, as a parent, it's hard to see that, or we are overbearing because of that, is what I'm starting to see and hear a little bit. And I'm like, I'm not sad or like gonna tell them how to raise their kids, but I do like try to remind them, it's like, you're slowly forgetting what it is to be a kid.
Remember that you were a child once.
Yeah. And that I am still a giant man child, to remind you.
On top of that, this isn't a new kind of concept for movies, and not even a new concept for Disney. Like, I mean, I literally mentioned a Goofy movie where it was basically Max's disobedience to Goofy to go see a concert. That was the driving force behind the plot. But there's also something like Mulan, where Mulan not listening to her parents to go save China was the plot. Or there was also The Little Mermaid, where the Little Mermaid not listening to her dad because she wanted to make out with a guy drove the plot. Like, I mean,
but he's
seriously.
just so pretty, Angelo.
Oh, and like
this
Aladdin,
isn't new,
for example, as well, with like Jasmine and like the Sultan and stuff. But like part of it as well is that, like, especially with the Goofy tale, is that like when you're young, you'll side with Max, but the older you get, you side with Goofy, right? Because you just see like,
are you
Goofy
kidding? When I was younger, I was totally on Goofy's side because I totally would have wanted to go on a fishing trip.
There you go.
Okay.
I was like, concerts? Fuck that noise. Let's go on the fishing trip. Hell yeah, let's go.
I mean, maybe Angelo just
to be fair, I
boy.
probably would have been the same way.
I am the same way as well, but I think, when I first watched that movie, I was like, it's easy to, again, see the viewpoint of the kid more than it is the viewpoint of the dad. But again,
100%, absolutely, you're right.
You can definitely.
They definitely frame it
I feel
that
for
way.
my friends. I feel for my friends because at the end of the day, I know why they're concerned. I know that they want the best for the kids as our parents do for us and all that kind of stuff. And you don't really see what your parents want for you. Like, we don't see the big picture very well when we're young.
That kind of reminds me, just as a small tangent, how. For Hideaki Anno with Evangelion, they were having such a hard time writing Evangelion Rebuild 4. And in Anno's words, it was that when he made Evangelion the first time, he felt like Shinji. But now it was hard to write for Shinji because he felt more like Gendo.
That's hilarious.
Or like
That's pretty
Misaki.
I in the same vein as sort of talking about, growing up and becoming more of an adult, one of my favorite things that I enjoy as an adult is grocery shopping. And it's not a surprise, I think I've said it before, but I just like, I like food, and that means like cooking and eating and preparing and buying, groceries included in the buying of food. And one of my favorite things that happens to me as an adult is when I find good deals at the grocery
Oh
store.
God, I know what you
But like
mean.
but I don't take a flyer with me. Like I don't have coupons or flyers. But when I'm just walking along and like I find a treasure of a deal, I'm just like, I can buy this, right? I'm, I'm an adult, right? Because like
Well,
so
like, for
like
me-
months ago, I was walking along in Superstore and I found like New Zealand rack of lamb.
Mm.
And usually that stuff is like 25 to 30 bucks per rack, right? Like
Okay.
it's not cheap, but it's like, you get what you can get. But that day or for that week or whatever, they sold them for $10 a rack.
God
So
damn.
I bought 8. Spent 8. I bought 8 racks of lamb. So I stuffed them in my freezer.
Oh my God.
And I like slowly
my-
have been going through them. And now I'm down to 2 racks of lamb. And this is like 4 months ago. So like I'm slowly making my way through them. I bought a sous vide, like, everything was
One
good.
lamb a week.
God, I wish.
Damn. Do you
Today,
just
earlier today, I was walking along in that same superstore and I found duck breasts
Let's
Yeah.
go.
30% off. And normally duck breast isn't that expensive, but it's also not a huge cut of meat. It's about the same size as a chicken breast at best, except for one chicken breast, it's probably about $3 or $4 per like breast, but a single duck breast is about $8. But this was 30% off, so I got them for like $5. And I
God
bought
damn, let's go.
9 of those.
Oh my God. You're the
And I-
reason they give total limits.
And then I
You're the
threw those
reason
into
they
the
put like
freezer.
2 per customer on some tags.
And I've
yeah,
never
like
cooked duck
maximum
for myself.
3.
I've never cooked duck for myself, but I'm like, this is worth it, and this is why I have a freezer of any kind. I just put them in, and now
What kind of a freezer do you have that
I
you can
just
fit
have,
8 racks of lamb?
a rack of lamb isn't very big.
Are they not what
They
I'm
have like
thinking
maybe
of?
they're. I'll post a picture for you in Discord, but a rack of
Oh,
lamb is not
okay.
large.
All right.
It's like
I guess
it's probably about
my f-
600 grams of meat, 400 to 600 grams of meat.
that's a lot.
Which is
pretty-
not like necessarily small, but like, you've had a lamb lollipop, right? Like just a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I love how
like,
you call it a
there's-
lollipop. That is not quite the image I was going for, but I get you.
Is a rack like 4 of those?
No, it's like,
It's like
this is. I mean, this is a
4 to 6 of them.
prepared. This is. Sorry, I know this is great for a audio podcast. These pictures. Just go to Google yourself. Type rack of lamb, and go to images, and you can see it for yourself. Okay.
Wow.
But there's like
I know what you
6
mean.
Yeah, there's like 6 bones on a rack, and it's not that much. I mean, it's
I
probably
guess-
enough for 2
okay.
servings. Like
Sales can
3.
be exciting,
Yes.
even if
Yes,
it's not for
absolutely.
something like fancy,
Yes.
Like sometimes I'll go to the grocery store and I'll see like pork tenderloin
Mhm.
on for half off.
Mhm.
And
Nice.
I'm like,
Do you ever
you
get
are
those-
coming to my freezer.
Do you ever get those pork logs? It's like that.
Logs?
It's that. Probably about 3 or 4 kilos of pork.
Basically like a giant pork chop that you just like
you have
cut
to
it
cut
into
yourself.
chops yourself.
Yeah, you have to cut yours, but and it comes in like a giant
And
plastic
like a cryovac.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like they're only usually about maybe $25 for like.
They're an amazing deal.
Yes. So if I know I have room, I will always consider doing it because I'll take it home. I'll cut it in half, freeze one half, chop up the rest into like servings, and then maybe put half of those in the freezer so they're ready to be defrosted, and then keep the rest for cooking for the week kind of thing.
Dude,
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
it's
do
good.
this with pork belly whenever I see it at Costco. Because when you see Costco pork belly, it's like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
You really can only freeze, like, you can probably only really cook like a third of that package of pork belly. So yeah,
Mhm.
I hear ya. Pork belly.
But yeah, just the
It's
grocery
exciting.
deals. That's what gets me excited.
Yeah,
as an
grocery
adult.
deals. It's a good adrenaline rush.
The other nice thing, like when it comes to grocery stores, deals are great, but if I'm not in a rush, sometimes I'm in a rush and I'm just looking to get like the specific things that are on my list. But sometimes when I'm just there for maybe a snack run, or maybe just I don't have anything to do when it's still like 1 in the afternoon. Taking a look at the different ingredients, finding something that they carry that you have never cooked with before or never really used before. Do you ever get like the urge to just buy it and figure out what to do with it?
I've done that before. I've done that
Sometimes.
before
It's rare.
with artichokes. I
Okay.
saw like actual fresh, good quality artichokes at the store once, and I had never cooked with them, but I like saw them and immediately I was like, I'm gonna take you home and figure out what I'm gonna do with you.
So I can relate
gonna
to that
figure you
right
out.
now because I've never cooked duck breast. I've had duck breasts and I've had duck in general, but I've never cooked duck breast myself. But when I saw these perfectly, packaged pieces of duck, and I was like, it's good deal. And I'm like, I don't know how cook duck. I'm like, I can learn. I'm not a bad cook. So
Exactly.
I bought 9 duck breasts, not knowing
Exactly.
how to cook
9.
any.
I'm probably going to get laughed at because you two are Asian, but I'd never actually cooked leeks before until like a month
Leeks
ago.
are good.
Oh,
Oh,
they're good.
Like my understanding was that, well, they're just big ass green onions.
yeah.
I've eaten onions before, so
No,
why do I have
they're
to go get
complete-
leeks?
Different flavor
The other-
profile.
So like a
Different
month ago, I was
texture.
thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get some leeks, and I'm going to figure out grilled leeks
Mhm.
because I've seen it before. I've heard that it's good. I'll just try it out, see what it's like, and yeah, it was good.
It goes well with pretty much
Nice.
most fatty types meats.
Like
it goes well with pork very well. It goes well
Having-
with duck.
having the grilled leek the one night, I fit it into. I had 2 other meals by the end of the next week, where I just gone out specifically grabbed leeks and did the same way.
And they're cheap. They're cheap.
I
meat.
felt like they're not that cheap though.
I don't know where you went to
I
go
felt
get
like I
them.
was spending like $4 or $5 to get enough leeks for the family, for me, Dio, and my mom.
Maybe that's the thing. I
the
don't have to
fam.
buy for a family. I have no family to provide for.
Yeah, like
That's
if it's just you, and if you really really like them, you're probably gonna get like 2 leeks, right?
I bought 9 duck breasts. for
I mean-
myself.
9 duck breasts.
Well, maybe
Me.
correct me if I'm wrong. Would you guys freeze leeks? Would you guys buy like
No.
100 leeks and freeze some?
I don't think
No,
you can.
absolutely
They would
not.
get annihilated. Most plant matter doesn't freeze very well. But
Exactly. That's why I would only buy like 4, maybe 6 leeks at a time.
Let me
maximum.
end with this. Going back to Superstore, there is another deal that I like, and it has to do with frozen veggies. And normally I don't really care for frozen veggies, but one veggie that does okay when it's being frozen is spinach.
Okay.
And they have these bricks of frozen spinach. I'm not even joking. It's like a small brick of frozen spinach. It weighs about
Interesting.
300 grams, which is actually a pretty decent amount considering, like, it's already technically fully cooked. You just have to warm it up in like a microwave or on the stovetop. It doesn't really matter. But you can get 10 of them for $10, 10 packages for $1 each. That's the actual deal.
Damn.
If you buy less than 10, then it's a slightly higher price or whatever.
Damn.
But it's great to stock that up in your freezer because you can take the spinach, warm it up anytime, throw it in like a pasta sauce, throw it in a stir fry. It's just easy and I
yeah.
think arguably cheaper than fresh spinach, which you would have to keep an eye on.
Oh yeah,
Like,
well, fresh spinach is
unless you-
expensive as hell.
Yeah. And unless you want to make a salad out of that spinach, the fresh spinach, the frozen spinach is fine. If it's for cooking, I recommend.
Exactly.
I recommend highly. Anyways,
I recommend that we say goodbye for the night.
thank you for listening.
I recommend that we say good day for the night.
I recommend.
I said a day.
I recommend 9 out of 10 doctors. But that last
10th
doctor,
one.
I do not.
A sussy baka.
It's true. Goodbye.
Goodbye.